top focus here on Super 6, the Waqf Amendment Bill. It will be tabled tomorrow in the Lok Sabha, and expect political fireworks as the BJP is pushing for the bill to be passed tomorrow after voting. They have limited time in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, considering that this session comes to an end in just 2 days from now on April 4th. So tomorrow is the Lok Sabha test. The day after that is the Rajya Sabha test. But quite honestly, numbers aren't really a concern for the BJP, especially in the Lok Sabha. The opposition vociferously has spoken out over this bill. So it will make essentially for a very interesting debate starting off 12 p.m. tomorrow. Union Minister Kiren Rijiju, who will be tabling that bill tomorrow as the Minority Affairs Minister, has expressed confidence that the NDA will vote as one in favour of the bill. He's also listed out the details of what really you can expect during the debate starting 12 noon. Now, the BJP has been rallying as much support as they can for the bill. The speaker list will be finalized shortly. But listen in first to what Rijiju had to say.
मैं सिर्फ हाथ जोड़ करके कहता हूं कि अगर बिल में बोलने के लिए कुछ नहीं है तो बहाना बना करके टाइम का बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी का बहाना बना करके वॉकआउट करने का ये सब मत कीजिए। जो समय तय किया गया है खुलकर बोलिए, हम सुनना चाहता हूं, और एक एक पॉइंट एक एक सेक्शन क्लोज का हम जवाब देने के लिए बिल्कुल तैयार है। गवर्नमेंट इज वेरी ऑनेस्टली एंड कीनली लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू हैव a proper discussion on Waqf Amendment Bill, and every member of the Parliament, those who represent different political parties, must get sufficient time and proper time to discuss and speak on the matter, on the subject.
So Kiren Rijiju, they're clearly saying that the opposition will get enough time for a constructive discussion and a debate in Parliament. Now, like I said, the speaker list is yet to be finalized, but the party, reportedly, the BJP has conveyed to its MPs that the focus mustn't be on all of the ugly political bickering in the back and forth, but on the finer details of the bill, as they aim to essentially spread the word on their message on the bill that it isn't to target one religion or one community. In the face of the opposition going on opposing this bill, making it clear that they believe it's anti-Islam, the BJP is trying to kind of set their record straight on why they've brought this reform.
ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड हो या कांग्रेस, सपा, तृणमूल, डीएमके किस तरह से राजनीति कर रहे हैं। आज तक के आज़ादी के बाद से कभी भी इतिहास में भी मस्जिदों का इस्तेमाल केवल इबादत के लिए हुआ है, कभी सियासत के लिए नहीं हुआ। लेकिन ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड ने इस पवित्र रमज़ान के महीने को भी उस इबादत की जगह पे सियासत कर दी और लोगों से अपील किया कि काली पट्टी बांध करके जाइए। तो इससे साफ है कि इस वक्त बिल को लेकर के ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड लगातार सोची समझी साजिश के तहत लोगों को गुमराह करके, झूठ बोल करके और पूरे देश में एक लोगों में ऐसा माहौल पैदा करना चाहती है कि जिससे बदअमनी हो या अस्थिरता है।
हर अच्छे कार्य का विरोध होता है, वैसे ही वक्फ संशोधन विधेयक पर भी ये हो हल्ला हो रहा है। लेकिन मैं कहता हूं जो हो हल्ला कर रहे हैं इनसे पूछना चाहता हूं कि इन्होंने कोई ऐसा काम वक्फ बोर्ड के माध्यम से किया हो जो वेलफेयर का हो। छोड़िए, सब समाज की बात छोड़िए, मुस्लिम समाज का ही कोई कल्याण किया हो उस प्रॉपर्टी का। ये व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थ का ये अड्डे बने हुए हैं। चंद लोगों के लिए लूट खसोट के अड्डे बने हुए हैं। किसी भी सरकारी प्रॉपर्टी पर जबरन काबिज करने का एक माध्यम बना हुआ है। और रिफॉर्म इस समय की मांग है। हर रिफॉर्म का विरोध होता है, लेकिन देश काल और परिस्थिति के अनुसार हमें उस प्रकार के रिफॉर्म के लिए तैयार होना चाहिए। और मुझे लगता है कि इसका लाभ मुस्लिम समाज को भी होगा और जिसके कारण बहुत बार कानून व्यवस्था के संकट खड़ा होता है, उससे भी लोगों को मुक्ति मिलेगी।
जो मिसलीड कर रहे हैं, तो ये किसी का प्रॉपर्टी हम वापस लेने का बात नहीं किया है। इससे पहले भी मैं एक इंसिडेंट कहा था, एक मुस्लिम व्यक्ति का मेरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी के बगल में ही जस्ट टू एडजस्ट टू माई कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी एक मुस्लिम व्यक्ति का प्रॉपर्टी वक्फ करके वो खरीदने के 60 ईयर्स के बाद 60 साल के बाद उनका प्रॉपर्टी कर दिया है। एक चालुक्य के समय पे मीन्स 17th 18th सेंचुरी के समय पे जो एक मंदिर बनाया था वो मंदिर वक्फ हो गया है। ये सब करके जो कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट हो रहा है उसके लिए हम बात कर रहे हैं।
So the India bloc will also be getting a chance to speak in Parliament. They're going to be obviously opposing the bill. But really, it's just about optics, considering the India bloc doesn't have the numbers to create any sort of roadblock or dent for the NDA in the Lok Sabha. But listen in to what the India bloc leaders had to say, what their stand is on the Waqf bill being tabled tomorrow.
नहीं, वक्फ बोर्ड के खिलाफ हैं हम लोग। इसलिए खिलाफ हैं क्योंकि भारतीय जनता पार्टी हर जगह हस्तक्षेप करना चाहती है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी हर जगह अपना कंट्रोल चाहती है। ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी किससे क्या कहलवा दे, किससे क्या करवा दे, ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कमाल है। उत्तर प्रदेश का नाम भी उससे जोड़ दीजिए, उत्तराखंड का।
लोकतंत्र के अंदर हम लोग लड़ सकते हैं, यहाँ भी लड़ेंगे, यहाँ के बाद कोर्ट में लड़ेंगे। देखिए, ये पूरी तरीके से असंवैधानिक है। संविधान की किसी भी धारा के ऊपर ओवरलैपिंग नहीं की जा सकती और ये सीधे सीधे ओवरलैपिंग हो रही है। और जो संविधान ने हमें संरक्षण दिया है धार्मिक स्वतंत्रता का, उसके ऊपर बुलडोज हो रहा है। हैसियत क्या है इस चिश्ती की? कौन है ये चिश्ती? सरकारी नौकर है, 2 करोड़ रुपए दरगाह से लेता है।
मुस्लिम समाज के
कोई मुस्लिम समाज नहीं मानता ऐसे को। ये दलाल हैं बीजेपी के, ये बीजेपी के दलाल हैं।
जो गवर्नमेंट एनडीए की गवर्नमेंट जिसको चंद्रबाबू नायडू, नीतीश कुमार, चिराग पासवान और जयंत चौधरी सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, ये वक्फ बिल अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है। ये वक्फ बिल आर्टिकल 14, आर्टिकल 25, 26, 29 का ग्रेव वायलेशन है। ये वक्फ बिल नहीं है बल्कि ये वक्फ बर्बाद बिल है। ये उनको ये देखना चाहिए कि ये सपोर्ट तो कर रहे हैं, मगर क्या आप 5 साल के बाद जब जाएंगे जनता के पास क्या जवाब देंगे उनको? अब तो बिहार का चुनाव भी है, तो ये अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल। एक बात समझिए, वक्फ बाय यूजर सरकार निकाल रही है। हिंदू धर्म में मड बाय यूजर, टेम्पल बाय यूजर अलाउड है, तो यहां पर क्यों अलाउ नहीं कर रहे आप? हिंदू एंडोमेंट बोर्ड में कोई नॉन हिंदू मेंबर नहीं बन सकता, तो यहां पर आप नॉन मुस्लिम को क्यों बना रहे हैं?
So you have heard all the voices against the Waqf bill as well. Can they actually derail the government's plan of ensuring that this bill becomes a reality, of it becoming an act? Let's take a look quickly at the numbers in Parliament as they stand. First, the Lok Sabha and then the Rajya Sabha. In the Lok Sabha, the NDA has 293, the India bloc at 238. Now, at this point, considering that the Waqf Amendment Bill isn't really a constitutional amendment, it doesn't really need a massive majority. A simple majority is enough. And so if you look at these particular numbers, seems fairly simple for the NDA to sail through. Even if you minus, let's say, a TDP or a JDU, right now they seem on board. But even if by any chance they choose to abstain in the voting, even then the NDA has the numbers comfortably on their side. So right now it's just posturing by the India bloc. They pass this particular test of the Lok Sabha easily because the number they need is 271. And so with this number, you will see, in fact, no problems whatsoever for the BJP to ensure the passage of the Waqf bill in Lok Sabha. What about the Rajya Sabha? And let's talk about that. That's where there could be a bit of a challenge for the government, not really a mighty one. Because again here, with the NDA at 125, the India bloc at 88, there are others, 23, who perhaps also will play a crucial role in which way this will go in the Rajya Sabha. But considering again it's a simple majority at about 117, that really the government needs, at 118 essentially, that the government needs, it should be easily doable for the NDA government. There are some parties like the BJD still sitting on the fence, and the NDA will be counting on getting them on board as well to kind of boost their numbers in Parliament, particularly in the Rajya Sabha. Now, what's important to highlight here right now is the fact that the BJP Forget the India bloc. The BJP has had a tough time actually convincing their own allies. Still a few hours ago, there were questions on whether the TDP and the JDU allies of the BJP would be voting for the Waqf bill or not. Now, they will be voting for the bill is what we hear. What did it take to get the two parties on board? Chandrababu Naidu, Nitish Kumar, both of course wanted to ensure that their Muslim vote bank doesn't get affected, dented because of this Waqf amendment bill. So they put forth a number of demands and we'll break those down for you. First, they said that in the Waqf amendment bill, the collector cannot be the final authority, but rather there should be a higher official appointed by the state government who will be the final authority. That demand has been met. It's reflected in the bill also that we've managed to catch and access here on India Today. Second, they said that there should be no retrospective action in the sense that the Waqf Amendment Bill, once passed by Parliament, will come into effect. So past Waqf property remains Waqf property. What they want is that in future Waqf property, you go ahead and impose the new act, the new bill, but not retrospectively. That demand has been met too. It's been confirmed that that is very much a part of the bill, that only going forward you will see action based on the amendments. Increase the 6-month deadline for registration of property. The bill mandated within 6 months all property that the Waqf board claims should be registered with the government. That demand has been met in the sense that the TDP and JDU said extend that deadline. Ensure the Waqf board has an option in some cases to take more time than just 6 months. So that's something they've agreed to. Now, besides that, land is a state subject, so states must have final say. This was a demand that the JDU put forth. That's been agreed to. And final one that you see on your screens, no interference in existing mosques, Muslim worship sites. Taking forward no retrospective action. This demand was put forward both by the TDP and the JDU. That too is something that the government, the BJP, has agreed to. And that's how the JDU and TDP are on board. Will they choose to abstain? Will they choose to vote for the bill in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? There's breaking news coming in on that. So top TDP sources telling us right now that a final decision of what exactly the Telugu Desam party will do on the Waqf bill is yet to be taken. Deliberations are still on. There were 3 amendments which I listed out for you just moments ago, which the TDP put out. Has now been accepted. It's now been accepted and adopted in the draft bill. So essentially, whatever demands the TDP has put forth, it's been met by the BJP, which has therefore led to questions about whether the TDP finally now will be on board. Let's also get you a reaction from Jagdambika Pal, who was the chairman of the JPC, the Joint Parliamentary Committee that looked into this bill.
पाल साहब ये बताइए, टीडीपी हो या फिर जेडीयू, दोनों ने अपनी सहमति दर्ज कर दी है कि जो उनकी कंप्लेंट्स थी या शिकायत थी या रिजर्वेशंस थे वो दुरुस्त हो गए इस अमेंडेड बिल में. तो क्या जेपीसी ने खास तौर से ध्यान रखा था इन सब बातों का?
देखिए, ये तो जैसे विपक्ष हो, कांग्रेस हो या डीएमके हो, तृणमूल कांग्रेस हो, ये लगातार उकसाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. हमने तो इनके इश्यूज को भी एड्रेस किया है, लेकिन इनको देश में इस वक्त के बिल को लेकर सियासत करना है. तभी आज इमरान मसूद वो सबसे बड़ी बारगाह जो है सज्जादा नसीर अजमेर शरीफ की दरगाह की, उनको दलाल, उनको बेईमान कह रहे हैं. तो जिस तरह गालियां दे रहे हैं, इसका खामियाजा राहुल गांधी को, कांग्रेस पार्टी को भुगतना पड़ेगा. हमने तो जेडीयू हो या हमारी चंद्रबाबू नायडू की पार्टी हो, एकनाथ शिंदे की हो, चिराग पासवान की, सबके मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट हमारी जेपीसी के मेंबर हैं, और जो भी उनके इशूज हैं उसको उसी समय हमने अपने मीटिंग में सभी इशूज को, सभी कंसर्न को एड्रेस किया है.
वो सारे इंक्लूड हुए हैं.
जब क्लास बाय क्लास वोटिंग हुई है तो हमने उसमें एक साथ वोट किया है, तो सभी संतुष्ट हैं. अभी भी मुंगेरी लाल के हसीन सपने देख रहे हैं कि जेडीयू शायद नहीं देती या चंद्रबाबू नायडू नहीं साथ देंगे, लेकिन हम ये बेहतर के लिए बिल ला रहे हैं. सरकार गरीबों के, मुसलमानों के, पसमानदा मुसलमान, खवातीन या बच्चों के भलाई के लिए इतनी बड़ी रेलवे सेना के बाद वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी है। अभी वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी से क्या लाभ गरीब को?
पर 3 बड़ी रियायतें जो आ गई हैं अब बिल में, एक तो वक्फ पर यूजर का रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इस्तेमाल नहीं किया जाएगा, कलेक्टर से ऊपर का अधिकारी होगा, यही 2, और एक डिजिटल अपलोडिंग के लिए समय दिया जाएगा जो टीडीपी की मांग थी। ये तीनों चीजें आप लोग ने बिल में इंक्लूड कर लिया।
बिल्कुल इंक्लूड कर लिया, और भी कर लिया है कि जैसे ट्रिब्यूनल में अमेंडमेंट में था कि 2 लोग रहेंगे
जी,
कि ये हो रहा था कि 2 में अगर जज हैं, डीएम हैं, आपस में कन्फ्लिक्ट हुआ कैसे होगा, तो हमने उसमें इस्लामिक स्कॉलर डाला है कि अब कोई ट्रिब्यूनल का फैसला होगा तो उसमें इस्लामिक स्कॉलर भी रहेगा। तो कल जो बिल आएगा आप देखेंगे कि ये अगर राजनीति इनको नहीं करनी होगी, तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति नहीं कर रहे होंगे, तो ये बिल इससे बेहतर गरीब या पसमानदा मुसलमानों के लिए हो नहीं सकता है।
So a clear message coming in from Jagdambika Pal there that this bill is not against any religion, which is the message the BJP has also been sending across. Because of the JPC, what changes have been made to the Waqf Amendment Bill? So there's a 2024 version, the August 2024 version versus what's come out now. So let's just kind of juxtapose the two for you. The original August 2024 bill had in fact mandated that every property dedicated to Waqf must be registered within 6 months. The JPC's amendment is flexibility in that timeline. So the Waqf Tribunal can actually extend the deadline, not in all cases, but in some cases. Now, one of the most controversial aspects of the original 2024 bill was the enhanced role given to district collectors in actually determining whether properties claimed as Waqf were government properties. Now, based on the JPC recommendation, that changes a bit. It's been tweaked. So it's not collectors, but a most senior designated government officer chosen by the state government will decide on properties. This is one of the demands put forth by the TDP, based on which that change has been made. The other big change is in the composition of the Waqf board. The original 2024 bill mandated for a non-Muslim chief executive officer and at least 2 non-Muslim members to be appointed by the state government to essentially change the Waqf board's composition of only having Muslim members. So the JPC hasn't really changed the non-Muslim member bit, so there will be 2 non-Muslim members, but also mandatory to have a member with knowledge of the Muslim law, essentially to ensure that the Waqf board still has members who know full well about Muslim jurisprudence, and there's no challenge on that front. This is what the bill looked like. This is where there are a few tweaks that have been made based on recommendations of members of the JPC. So it's this version with the JPC changes that will be tabled tomorrow. Let's get you more breaking news coming in on what to expect tomorrow. And Home Minister Amit Shah will also be intervening on the Waqf Amendment Bill tomorrow. The BJP has been allotted 4 hours to discuss the bill. The NDA a total of 4 hours 40 minutes. So of that 4 hours 40 minutes, 4 hours will go, the majority chunk as expected will go to the BJP. Other allies will get about 40 minutes to speak. Union Minister Kiren Rijiju, as the Minority Affairs Minister, will be the first speaker. He will be introducing the bill and the entire speaker list. We're yet to, of course, get the BJP is reportedly working on the same to finalize who will really be speaking on the Waqf Amendment Bill in Parliament tomorrow. But 4 hours the BJP has been given for this particular discussion out of the 4 hours 40 minutes that's been allotted for the NDA. Home Minister Amit Shah is also expected to speak on this, make an intervention essentially on the Waqf debate, if of course it goes smoothly as the BJP hopes in the Lok Sabha. Let's bring in Aishwarya Paliwal for more details. Aishwarya, who's expected to speak from the BJP or from the NDA tomorrow? We understand 4 hours 40 minutes has been allotted for the NDA.
Well, 4 hours 40 minutes, Akshita, that's the total time that has been given. But also, we did hear it was Kiren Rijiju who said that if the people want, if the members want, then the debate can be extended. But one thing is very clear, 12 noon tomorrow is when the debate will start, and we will see, and this is what the BJP wants, that the passing of the bill in Lok Sabha should happen tomorrow. And that's the reason why we have seen from the BJP, whip has been issued, Akshita, both for tomorrow in Lok Sabha and day after tomorrow in the upper house, Rajya Sabha. So that's something that the BJP is aiming at. Home Minister Amit Shah will also be speaking, and let me tell you, he will be the person who will be bringing forth all the very crucial points, something that the BJP has been saying since day one. All of them will be strung together, and it will be the Home Minister Amit Shah who will be speaking tomorrow in Lok Sabha in favor of the Waqf bill, and also how it will make sure that it uplifts the Muslim community. So those are the lines on which we should expect the Home Minister to be speaking tomorrow. A total of 4 hours, 40 minutes at the moment, Akshita. That's the time that has been given. But if the MPs want that the discussion should get extended, then that provision also has been given.
So you could see, of course, a much longer debate, a discussion based on really what the mood of the opposition also is, and if they want that time to be extended. We'll be watching out for the debate. 12 noon is when it starts tomorrow. Thanks very much, Aishwarya, for joining us with those details. Now, another aspect to the debate over Waqf is the fact that you've got Christian bodies now speaking out for this particular amendment. Let's talk about what the Kerala Church body, which is the Catholic Bishops' Council, had to say about, in fact, this amendment. I will tell you why it's important as well, but first throwing the spotlight on what they've said. In a detailed statement, they've put their full backing for the Waqf Amendment Bill, saying it is a test of secularism. They've also urged Kerala MPs to vote in the bill's favour, saying when it comes up for a debate in the parliament, Kerala MPs, and this is a message, by the way, to MPs cutting across party lines, saying they should vote in favour of the bill. Now, the Kerala Catholic Bishops' Council has also said that unfair, unconstitutional sections of the Waqf Act must also be tweaked, and the amendment will prevent Waqf from making claims on lands. The reason this is important is because many Christians in parts of Kerala, like Munambam, where we've been seeing this Waqf fight over property is also playing out. So directly Christians have been affected, which is why the statement comes from the Catholic Bishops' Council. Now, this throws up a bit of a conundrum for the left and the Congress, who of course clearly voiced the opposition to the bill. With the Catholic Bishops' Council, very influential by the way, making the statement, why does this affect the Kerala Congress and the left? Well, essentially, the Kerala Congress, which is a Congress ally, their primary vote bank is Christians. So for the Congress itself, this is a catch-22 situation. Christians are dominant in many seats in Kerala. If you look at the parliamentary seats alone, 9 out of the 20 seats, you've got the Christians being very dominant. So for the Congress to continue to perform well, or the left for that matter, they have to ensure they don't ignore the Christian voice in Kerala. The BJP has also been wooing the Christian community in Kerala. That poses a serious threat to the Congress and the left. And with the Catholic Bishops' Council actually going ahead and endorsing a move by the BJP, that further throws the Congress and the left in a lurch. The opposition to Waqf bill will then be seen as a direct ignoring of the advice given by the Bishop Council, and them essentially brushing it aside, ignoring what this Kerala Church body has said. And considering that already we've seen the Love Jihad rallying call in Kerala, which by the way is a bigger issue, a bigger political issue among the Christians than Hindus in Kerala, Waqf could be the other big talking point, because like I said, there are scores of Christians in Kerala who've been affected because of the Waqf board arbitrarily claiming land in Kerala. So we'll have to see how really the Congress, the left react to this, because there are several questions about whether they'll now buckle to pressure from the Catholic Bishops' Council, which is urged, let me remind you, all Kerala MPs to vote in favour of the bill.
KCBC had issued a letter saying that all MPs should support this Waqf amendment bill when it comes in the parliament.
Our party will discuss and take a final decision on that.
Poor Muslims, they are supporting this one, and now Catholic Bishop of India, they are supporting, and one by one this all communities are coming out, and people of India is supporting the bill, and the opposition these parties, they are merely opposing it because they want to show that they are opposing this government and Modi ji. They will be compelled by the people, compelled by separate communities to support this bill. That is the condition now.
No, this does not have to be only an opinion of the Catholic community. It is an opinion of the Buddhist community. It is an opinion of the Parsi community. It is the opinion of the Sikh community. That while they are all minority communities, each of the minority communities must have the same rights as every other minority community, Right to property is one of those constitutional rights that have been given in the Constitution. And it cannot be anybody's case. It makes no sense for anybody to push the argument that one minority community should have greater rights than the other minority community. That just does not make sense and does not find place in a secular republic, constitutional republic like India.
And joining me here on Super 6 is Father Joshi Mayadil, the Kerala Catholic Bishop Council father, has now given support to the Waqf Amendment Bill. You've highlighted the plight of people in Munambam in Kochi, which is under dispute, which means many Christians also, their land also has been claimed by Waqf. Can you also share more light as to why you think this new bill is the need of the hour and how it could bring some change?
For the last 3 years, the people over there are almost under a revenue arrest. They who have bought the land some 30, 35, 36 years back, that is from 1989 to 1991, 218 families bought the land. And for the last 35 years, with all the records, with all the documents, with all the tax, everything given, they had the title of it. And for the last 3 years, they are no more able to exercise their revenue rights. And they are suffering a lot. 610 families are suffering just because of the claim made by the Waqf board based on the Waqf Act.
Okay.
For certain, the land is theirs. But you see, in 2009, the Waqf board ordered it to be the land of Waqf.
And that's shocking. But Father, also, you know, the other issue here, and there's a lot of talk right now that the bill will take away rights of the Muslim community. So what's your message on that? How do you look at this matter? You're talking about the rights of people being taken away. The other flip side to that is that this will take away rights of the Muslim community, is the claim being made by several opposition parties.
The issue is basically the issue of constitution. You see, we have a constitution, Indian constitution. When anti-constitutional or non-constitutional legislations are passed in the parliament, how can the people live here in this country? What can we do? So what should the politicians do? First of all, they should recognize the issues, the constitutional issues involved in the matter. You see, it is very easy to actually, you see, though I am represented here, I'm representing the people in Munambam. Actually, 610 families are not just Christians. You know, there are only 400 Christian families. Then almost 200 families are of various groups.
Various communities, various groups. So many people affected. I'm sure Munambam is just one of many examples of people in the country being affected because of how the Waqf board can go ahead and take away land, which is why the government has said that this particular legislation is the need of the hour. Thank you very much, Father, for joining us here on Super 6. We're cutting across to a news break coming in now. Now, the India bloc is in a huddle to figure out what exactly will be their strategy tomorrow on Waqf. Mallikarjun Kharge, Rahul Gandhi are present for that particular meeting. You've got Sanjay Singh from the Aam Aadmi Party, Kalyan Banerjee from the Trinamool Congress, Ram Gopal Yadav from Samajwadi Party, and several other members of parliament representing different political parties coming together for this particular meeting that's taking place. The India bloc figuring out what exactly their strategy will be tomorrow, perhaps also deciding who will be speaking on behalf of each of their political parties. So a lot of updates coming in on the Waqf Amendment Bill showdown expected in Parliament tomorrow. Let's quickly round up those updates for you. BJP has issued a 3-line whip to its MPs, directing them to be present in Parliament tomorrow for the voting process on the Waqf bill tomorrow and the day after. Congress has also issued a 3-line whip to its MPs in Parliament, asking them to be present during the debate on the Waqf Amendment Bill. They need all the numbers they can get together. The opposition staged a walkout from the business advisory meet of Lok Sabha, which was chaired by Speaker Om Birla. In fact, the opposition has said that they wanted a debate on 2 other issues, on Manipur and on voter list. And because the demand wasn't met, they staged a walkout. After Lok Sabha, the bill will be tabled in Rajya Sabha on April 3rd. Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar has allotted 8 hours for the debate in the upper house of Parliament. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, meanwhile, a day before voting in Parliament on the Waqf Amendment Bill, met with party workers at the JDU headquarters. Reportedly, JDU has extended its full support. Let's get you all the inside details that we've picked up here on India Today. Or what's happening in the Tamil Nadu BJP? Is Annamalai going to be replaced as the Tamil Nadu BJP chief? There's been endless speculation since his meeting with Home Minister Amit Shah. Our sources tell us that in the next 2 weeks, we could be seeing an announcement in this regard. And there are about 3 to 4 front runners now in the Tamil Nadu BJP to take over as the Annamalai successor. Let's get you details in our next report.
BJP's face in Tamil Nadu, Annamalai stares at losing the post of BJP president in the state. As per sources, the BJP is considering removing Annamalai to firm up its alliance with AIADMK. The decision, however, may not be easy, as an influential section within the BJP is firmly backing Annamalai. Sources say it may take 2 weeks for the BJP to finally take a decision. The frontrunners to replace Annamalai are BJP MLA from Coimbatore South, Varnati Srinivasan, BJP MLA from Tirunelveli, Nayanar Nagendran, and BJP leader and former Telangana Governor Tamilisai Soundararajan. During his recent meeting with Home Minister Amit Shah, AIADMK is believed to have made removal of Annamalai a precondition for alliance with BJP for next year's assembly polls. Annamalai, in his response, said that he is ready to work even as a BJP cadre.
நான் ஏற்கனவே என்னுடைய ஸ்டாண்டை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் எப்பொழுதுமே நான் ஓப்பனாக தான் இருந்திருக்கேன், அதில் எந்த மாற்று கருத்தும் இல்லை. நான் டெல்லியில் பேசும்பொழுது தொண்டனாக பணியாற்றவும் தயார் என்கின்ற வார்த்தையும் பயன்படுத்தியிருக்கேன். அதனுடைய பொருளையும் நீங்க நல்லா உணர்ந்துக்குங்க.
Nothing is certain except for one variable, and that is BJP wants AIADMK in the NDA alliance one way or the other and is ready to make any kind of sacrifice.
Under Annamalai, BJP split with AIADMK and went it alone in polls. BJP's vote share jumped from 3.66% in 2019 to 10.72% in 2024. However, it still drew a blank in terms of seats. Annamalai had then received a big pat on the back from none less than Prime Minister Modi.
अन्नामलाई एक बहुत ही अच्छे आर्टिकुलेट है, यंग है, बहुत ही अपनी आईपीएस कैडर में बहुत बड़ी प्रतिष्ठित नौकरी छोड़ कर के आए हैं. दूसरा, लोग सोचते कि यार इतना बड़ा होनहार कैरियर छोड़ के आया आदमी तो डीएमके AIADMK में चला जाता, उसकी तो जिंदगी बन जाती. तो वो मानने नहीं गया, वो बीजेपी में आया. तो लोग आप यार ये बीजेपी में गया है मतलब कुछ मेटल है, कुछ अच्छे इरादे वाला इंसान लगता है.
1 year down the line, will BJP sacrifice Annamalai in its mission to oust MK Stalin-led DMK? With Pramod Madhav, Bureau Report, India Today.
So if there's going to be a change in the Tamil Nadu BJP, who could then take over from Annamalai as the Tamil Nadu BJP chief? 4 names doing the rounds. First, Nayanar Nagendran, a senior leader. He is the BJP MLA from Tirunelveli, one of the 4 MLAs the BJP has in Tamil Nadu. Importantly, belongs to the influential Tevar community. Very influential community, particularly in South Tamil Nadu. That's something that weighs in his favour. Also, the fact that he's a veteran politician. He'd made the switch from the AIADMK to the BJP. So considered to be a very, very crucial cog in really the Tamil Nadu BJP wheel. Vanati Srinivasan, Coimbatore South MLA. Remember, she was the one who defeated Kamal Hassan and stood tall in Coimbatore South, having fought from that seat for many years and building ground there. She heads the Mahila wing of the BJP, so someone who's a trusted aide of the High Command and one of the few leaders, of course, who sealed a win for the BJP in the 2021 elections despite stiff competition from the likes of Kamal Hassan. L. Murugan, Union Minister, currently, of course, with the Modi government. He served previously as the Tamil Nadu BJP chief, so has experience in that regard. And also, as far as community goes, he hails from the Arunthadayar scheduled caste community. So that's another factor that essentially the BJP will look into. Tamilisai Soundararajan, BJP leader. She served previously again as the Tamil Nadu BJP chief just before Annamalai. So because of the same, there is some sense of trust with Tamilisai Soundararajan. She's also a very recognized face of the Tamil Nadu BJP. So it will counteract essentially the loss for the BJP in the sense that their poster boy for the party in Tamil Nadu will be removed. Then they can bring in someone who's still a recognizable face. 4 names doing the rounds. We'll see in the next 2 weeks who exactly will be named. All right, let's move on and tell you about the big story that came in on Pastor Bajinder Singh. You may have seen his videos on social media where he claims to perform miracles. He's now been given a life term in a sexual assault case. Another reminder that these self-proclaimed gurus, pastors, can simply not be trusted. A Mohali court has sentenced Pastor Bajinder Singh, a preacher from Punjab's Jalandhar, to life imprisonment in connection to a 2018 sexual harassment case. Here's what the complainant has alleged, that Bajinder Singh lured her by promising to take her abroad, raped her at his residence in Mohali, and then even shot a video of it. Now, remember that he was in the news for this particular video. The Mohali police had booked the pastor just a few weeks ago for assault and other charges, days after a video of him came to light where he was seen arguing with a woman, slapping her. This video had gone viral on social media. This video pretty much tells you the character of this man who claims he can perform miracles and heal people. He gained fame for his viral Yeshu Yeshu, which is essentially what he does on social media and in these videos where he claims to cure people. This being an example of that. And it's these kind of shenanigans that's made him famous. And unfortunately, there are people who fell for his scam as well, which we see far too often in India.
He claimed in several of his videos that he had almost magical powers, but this is where the end of the controversy, in a sense, because he will have to face other cases as well. But a big moment coming in, especially in Mohali court, a POCSO court announcing life imprisonment for a controversial pastor with millions on social media following him. A huge, huge setback really coming in. But meanwhile, the victim is saying, finally, after 8 long years, the justice has prevailed. With camera person Aman, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Mohali for India Today.
Absolutely shocking that that man is someone who managed to fool and scam so many people. Now finally justice being given a lifer by Mohali court in that rape case. Let's move on. Get you the big stories coming in from the sporting world. Senior India pros in Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli are set to be retained by the BCCI in their annual contracts. Both of them have retired from T20 internationals last year in June. They continue to be in the top tier of the contracts. Nikhil Naz with more on this.
Right, the central contracts, as you know, is a retainership that all the top players in India get. They're divided into 4 categories. You have the A+, A, B and C. Now, the big news, of course, is that both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli will be retained in the A+, the top-notch category of the central contracts. And why was there any doubt over that? That was primarily because, if you remember, both these players are not part of India's T20I setup. However, they are playing one-day cricket and had been playing test cricket till very recently. So those are two boxes that have been ticked. Now, what makes things really interesting at the moment is, and the reason that they will be given an A+ contract is because a lot of it is done retrospectively. So majority of these contracts, even though it will be announced now, are looking back from October last year. And in that period, you did see these two players play a lot of test cricket as well as ODI cricket for the Indian team. Things will get interesting going forward. That's because these are two stalwarts and their future in test cricket may just come under the scanner because runs haven't been coming from Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli. They will continue to play ODI cricket as things stand right now, but in the worst case scenario, if they are not part of the Indian test team going forward from the England tour that starts in June, then maybe for the next time onwards, A+ may not be the category that you find a Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli in. But for now, there seems to be no danger. They are the two biggest names in Indian cricket and they remain in the A+ contract.